My name is Mary Crotty. I'm a member of the People's Movement, a wife and a mother of 4 children. I am not a politician and I have no aspirations along those lines. I have never before been involved in a political group, nor have I campaigned on any political issue. So why now? My father, Raymond Crotty, took the Irish government to the Supreme Court back in 1987 because that government attempted to introduce the Single European Act without giving the people of Ireland a vote in a referendum. It is because of that Supreme Court ruling that we are having a vote on the Lisbon Treaty. My father was not a rabid nationalist. He was just a concerned citizen who had some awareness of the long-term project that the European bureaucrats were setting on. Ironically, because of the Crotty case, the Irish people get to vote twice on the Lisbon Treaty, while the rest of Europe get no vote at all. Because this treaty is so extensive, I have no doubt that if it is passed, this will be the last referendum that the Irish people will have on Europe. The day after we rejected the first Lisbon Treaty, Eamon Gilmore, Labour Party leader, stated, "There can be no question of putting the same treaty back to another referendum in Ireland. Lisbon too is exactly the same legal document as Lisbon I. We are being forced to vote twice on the same treaty. The so-called guarantees are not legally binding within the institutions of the EU. They are more like a gentleman's agreement between 27 heads of state. We got declarations, and these are not legally binding until they are added as protocols to the next treaty, which will probably not be for 3 or 4 years when Croatia joins." Polls have shown throughout Europe that the vast majority of citizens want a vote on Lisbon, but they will not be getting one. So 4 million Irish people are voting on behalf of 500 million European citizens. In 2005, the French and Dutch rejected it, and that should have been the end of it. But the political elite in Brussels would not take no for an answer. And a few superficial changes were made to the constitution. It is now called the treaty, and the word federalism was removed. Because of these minor changes, no other country in Europe is having a vote on the Lisbon Treaty. We have been told that we have to accept this treaty, that it has taken 8 long, hard years of negotiations. That is not true. The core of this treaty was cobbled together between the years 2001 and 2004, and then presented to the people of Europe as a European constitution. In fact, this treaty is a straitjacket for 27 nation states. We must now look back to the global context that the treaty was drawn up in. The period 2001 to 2004 saw the peak of free market capitalism and the greed that has led to the current global crisis, economic crisis. This treaty enshrines those economic principles into what is basically the European Constitution. It commits Ireland to the same economic principles, to the European Defence Agency and militarisation. The less than a decade ago, today's world is vastly different from that of 2001 to 2004. The economic crisis shows us that unrestricted capitalism does not work. Barack Obama shows us that negotiation is the way forward. The aggressive militarised foreign policy of the Bush era is no longer valid. In this new world order, Europe needs a new treaty. The citizens of Europe will thank the Irish people if we reject Lisbon. If the European Union is to flourish in today's world, further integration must grow organically from the people up and not be imposed from the top down by a political elite. We need an accountable, less centralised, less bureaucratic, but more democratic Europe. Following the current referendum campaign, I can only hope that the people of Ireland do not surrender the remainder of our sovereignty out of the false economic fears propagated by the yes side.